This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Omega Bright CBD, formulated by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplements for the past 20 years. Omega Bright CBD, safe, third-party tested, and it works. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com. And by Landmark College, offering comprehensive support for students with ADHD and other learning differences. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Landmark College, the college of choice for students who learn differently.
Everything that you can think of in terms of exercise has been looked to show a positive effect on attention measures, okay? Yoga, dance is very good. Certainly racket sports and soccer, basketball, anything you can think of improves the attention.
Hello and welcome to Distraction. This is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a very special episode. Not that they're not all special, but this one is especially special. And it's because I have my dear friend, former teacher, writing partner, squash partner, mentor, and just all-around delight in my life, Dr. John Ratey, coming to us all the way from Los Angeles. And a little background on John. John is a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, and he's the author of a number of books. He really has paved the way, first in the treatment of aggression and then in the development of exercise as a really powerful treatment modality in psychiatry. In 2016, he was honored as the Outstanding Psychiatrist of the Year for advancing the field by the Massachusetts Psychiatric Society. He's an all-around wonderful man and truly a imaginative, out-of-the-box thinker. Who also has very stellar academic credentials. So it's an honor, a delight, and a true pleasure to welcome my dear, dear friend, Dr. John Ratey.
It's great to be with you all, and great to be with you, Ned. About calling in from sunny Los Angeles and missing you and missing your whole family and our getting together in your backyard and all that. Mm-hmm. But I'm delighted to be talking about attention deficit disorder and all the stuff that we've known over the years and have written about and talk about.
Well, let's just jump right into an area where you are a world authority, namely exercise. John wrote a book called Spark, The Revolutionary New Science of Exercise and the Brain, and really brought to the general public the fact that physical exercise is not just good for your heart and your bones and your blood, but it's actually really good for your brain. You want to enlarge on that, John? Because I don't think most people are aware of just how it helps your brain.
Right. Most people don't realize it, but when you exercise, you are using more of your brain. When we move physically, we are using more of our brain than in any other human activity. And the way we think about exercise, or the brain today, is that the brain is like a muscle. The more we use it, the better it gets. And exercise challenges, moves, makes the brain really work. And this is especially relevant for people with attention deficit disorder. One of the things that was in all of our findings and and from Driven to Distraction onward is we always talked about the benefits of exercise. We could see it. Patients could see it. Parents could see it. I just had I did a course and had Mary Jane Beach, who you may remember, Ned. She was in the course.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
And recalling our first talks down at the Cape with her parents group, where we picked up a lot of information, including how beneficial exercise was. But now we know we can unpack it. What happens? Well, when we fire our nerve cells so much, we release a lot of neurotransmitters, and especially release dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin a lot. And it sort of exercise acts like a little bit of Prozac and a little bit of Ritalin, so that when we move, we release these neurotransmitters, which then has an effect on our attention system throughout the brain. So it stands to reason then that exercise is a very good treatment or co-treatment for attention deficit disorder.
As well as depression and anxiety, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Spark was written all about the psychiatric benefits of exercise, including very much so depression and anxiety, addictions, certainly attention. But a big benefit is its effect on the aging. It's really the number one anti-aging tactic that one can have, along with connecting. Those two together are at the top of any wellness pyramid or list that you can find. And that's because exercise really does so much in our brain. One of the things that it causes is when we use our brain, we release a substance called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. Well, we know a lot about this, basically a neurohormone, a growth factor in the brain, because it acts in the brain like fertilizer, meaning it keeps our brain cells young and perky, as well as it makes them do what they're supposed to do, and that is to grow and grow in our information. So
exercise makes you grow new nerve cells, new brain cells?
It also, but that's a second part of the neuroplasticity. The big effect of neuroplasticity is making our 100 billion nerve cells more growth worthy, more growth oriented. And another part that we learned in 1999 is that we humans are making new brain cells every day. And the number one effect on promoting new growth of new brain cells is exercise. And this is study after study we've had. And in Spark, I talked about 1,000 different articles on exercise and its effect on the brain, and made it palatable for people, hopefully, and how it works, because it works magnificently. So the best way to make a person ready to learn, that is ready to take in information, sort it, and log it in, is a bout of exercise, because it makes our brain cells really ready to log in the information to grow.
The cover of Harvard Magazine, which I receive every month as a Harvard grad, arrived today, and it had an elderly gentleman on the lawn in a push-up position with a little toddler sitting on his shoulders, and the caption was, "Why exercise keeps you young." And so there, it was very fitting for today's conversation. It's now. So then the next question is, what kind and how much? So people listening, I'm sure nobody would disagree with anything you've said. How could they? But then they say, okay, how do I get in the habit of exercising? And is it enough just to, walk around every day? How much and what kind, and how do I keep doing it, consistently?
Well, those are all very important questions. How much is if you look at what Health and Human Services tell us, and that's a combination of looking at all kinds of evidence, they say 150 minutes a week of exercise, okay? What does that mean? That's about 30 minutes every day or so. And what they say is that we should get our heart rates up to about 60 or 70% of our maximum which means if it's walking, it's fast walking. It's walking, pushing yourself a little bit, though there's no denying that walking itself is great. Walking will get you more focused and more ready to pay attention. Lots of studies showing that you're just walking on a treadmill, and not really sweating, but pushing yourself a little bit, getting a little bit breathless, that your test scores go up about 20, 30%. So, and a big part of that is the attention system is locked in. And we have all kinds of evidence from all over the world, really, about exercise making people attend better and stay with it.
So I just wanted to confirm, you said 150 minutes a week?
Yes, that's the recommendation. And now, for attention, for boosting your attention system, you can do even very little. You could do 5 minutes of something like jump rope or squats or push-ups. Any of those will get your heart rate up, and you'll do a little bit more than just moderate if you do it for 5 minutes straight. And that will give you a burst of attention, and the deal is the longer you do it, the better your attention will be. And but you have to program yourself to do it.
In this anxious back-to-school time, everyone is looking for ways to reduce the edge of anxiety, and one good way to try is by taking Omega Bright supplement, Omega CBD, Omega Bright CBD, as well as the Omega Bright fish oil product. Both are good for emotional reactivity and can take the edge off of that. They're fully natural, very healthy, really developed by a top-notch company. OmegaBrightWellness.com, and you can get 20% off your first order by using the code podcast2020. Enter that, get 20% off. OmegaBrightWellness.com. Okay, now let's get back to the show. I recommend to people there's an app called the 7-Minute Workout. And,
yes.
Most people can afford 7 minutes, but it's a pretty vigorous workout for 7 minutes.
Oh, it is. It is. It's 30 seconds on a bunch of different exercises with a short rest period in between. So it gets you moving and takes you through jumping jacks to squats to push-ups to lunges to crunches to planks, all the usual suspects for aerobic aerobic kinds of exercise. So most of the studies had been on measuring aerobic exercise, that is running, walking, swimming, biking, climbing, whatever, to get your heart rate up to see the change in the attention measures that they do with tests. However, more recently, in the past 15 years, we've done a lot of work on looking at weight training, strength training with exercise, strength training more than weight training. So just by moving your muscles and challenging them, you have this great effect on your brain, almost as much as you do with aerobic training. So that leads to what kind of exercise to do. Well, something that you'll come back to, something that you'll do again and again and again. The all-time best prescription for exercise is something that you like to do, that you do outside and you do with somebody or some group, because that connection has so many other positives to it, but it also keeps you honest. It also keeps you coming back and doing it. Now, this can be anything. It can be Zumba. It can be biking. It can be walking. And because this all challenges your brain and makes your brain work best. Now, how to be motivated and how to stay motivated once you start. People can, in January every year, people join gyms in the past, and go for a month and then stop. And what happens? Well, what you need to do is remember that of how you feel the day that you exercise. So right after you exercise, that day you note to yourself, like note to self, I feel better today. I'm more productive today. I'm happier today. I'm more altruistic. I'm less angry. I'm less hopeless today. And because that is the only way to sort of get you to continue.
I don't think it's the only way at all. I've been exercising for 40 years by playing squash with the same guy on Tuesday afternoon. And for me, reminding myself how great I feel, that doesn't do it. I'm too much of a hard sell. But showing up for a friend, I can't let him down. I have to be there. So to me, the key in making it sustainable is combining it with a human connection, with a friendship, and you and I, we used to play squash on Sunday mornings for a number of years until that place closed down. I think this thing of solitary exercise, I know I don't like it, and I know a lot of people do it, but to me, to make it sustainable, I think it's the best way is to combine it, a group who likes to play tennis, or a group who likes to run together, or a group who likes to swim together, or in my case, play squash.
Right. No, there's no question of that the human connection makes it so worthy and so, bringing you back to it. And that's why that's the reason why something like CrossFit has been so popular, because it's a group. You get into a group, or the running group, or a walking group, or playing squash. Yes, I remember that very well. And then I ruined my arm after 25 years, but nonetheless, I loved it,
That brings up another question, that as we get older, and you and I are both in our 70s, as we get older, various injuries crop up, but that still should be no reason to give up exercise. There are still ways for just about anybody to get exercise if they're resourceful.
No, exactly, and when you talk about ADD, and people all over the world have been watching after this and trying to understand what kind of exercise, how long. And so everything that you can think of in terms of exercise has been looked to show a positive effect on attention measures. Okay, yoga, dance is very good. Certainly racket sports and soccer, basketball, anything you can think of improves the attention.
Just another idea to throw out there is in terms of connection is working with the trainer. And as you know, John, I worked with this wonderfully grumpy, brilliant Russian trainer named Simon for some 15 years. You did it for a little while with him yourself. And that's another way of getting you to do it. If you're paying someone, you have to show up. So again, it's a human connection. You hire someone, but it's another way of getting you to do the exercise. I think part of your message is it doesn't really matter what kind of exercise you do, as long as you do it.
Yes, and if you're constantly, or not constantly, but if you're pushing yourself to do more or do better, like for instance, even playing squash, we would it's competitive, so we wanted to do better each time. So we'd push ourselves a little bit to beat one another, or you mainly beat me.
But you'd start every game by saying, "I'm going to beat you today."
And we had fun though. I mean, it was over and we were laughing and we were talking. We didn't hold it against one another.
No, not at all. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
But I do exercises all the time now, and you can do it with COVID. You can do it in your house. There's plenty of different YouTubes to follow, or just do it with your mates, but it doesn't do the same as squash. Are you playing squash now, Ned, in the COVID?
No, they're not. The courts aren't open. But my wife Sue does her gym closed, much to her distress. But she has this group and this trainer named Derek, and they do it on Zoom. She's in the living room this morning, doing these burpees and squats and push-ups and weights, and she's half an hour in her gym clothes on Zoom, and Derek is marching them through their paces, and you hear the voices of all the other members. So, in spite of COVID and the gym closing, she's still got her group, and she does it 4 times a week and loves it. She wouldn't miss it for the world.
You see, and it because it does so much for the way we feel and the way we can attend and reducing stress and anxiety, which we know happens. It also boosts our mood because it changes our brain chemistry.
Yes.
The chemicals that I mentioned, but also the endorphins and the endocannabinoids.
Don't forget oxygen. I mean, that's another brain enhancer, and you get a lot of oxygen when you exercise.
You sure do. And you also produce more oxytocin, which is the love and bonding hormone. We produce more of it when we exercise. So when you're finished exercising, you will feel more likely to be more altruistic, to be kinder, to be more interested in bonding from a biologic perspective.
Yes,
there's a lot that happens in the brain for the good.
Well, my wonderful, brilliant friend, John Ratey, thank you so much for gracing us with your really expert, top-of-the-line knowledge on exercise. The take-home points, find something that you want to do over and over again, and however you find it with a squash mate or a trainer or self-motivation, remembering how good you feel when you do it, but just find a way to get yourself to do it, because it's one of those things that everyone praises but not enough people do. You could say the same for meditation, by the way. In any case, thank you for joining us today. For more information on John, go to his website, johnratey.com. That's JohnRatey.com, johnratey.com. You can read about his books on the brain, on exercise, on attention deficit disorder, on diet and nutrition. He has a wonderful book called Go Wild about the paleo approach. He's creating all the time. And he has ADD, and that's what ADD people do. And please reach out to us with your questions, comments, and show ideas. We really depend upon them. We need your input, and we're looking for it all the time. Send us an email or record a voice memo on your phone and send it to us at connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's the word connect, CONNECT, at distractionpodcast.com. We really love to hear from you and your questions. We often put a show together based entirely on your questions, which I try to answer. And sometimes they stump me, but I usually can find some answer or find someone who does know the answer. You can also follow the Distraction Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Give us a like and a follow to stay connected with the show. We truly appreciate it as we're trying to grow in the social media world. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our recording engineer and editor is the brilliant and always on time Scott Persson. And our producer is the inevitably perfect, depressingly so perfect, the sweet and lovely, brilliant, talented Sarah Guertin. This is Dr. Ned Hallowell saying goodbye for this time. The episode you just heard was sponsored by Omega Bright CBD, formulated by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplements for the past 20 years. Omega Bright CBD, safe, third-party tested, and it works. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com.